So Chad and I famously, because we get stopped on the street, people going, "You really liked it," and we're like, "Yes, we really did," because we shouted it from the rooftops. How'd you feel about the film, sir?
Aside from how much I enjoyed the film itself, I was absolutely delighted by the conversations it inspired
Yeah,
about the fact that Superman's heroism, the thing that made him likable and admirable, was that desire to do good and help people no matter what. The fact that he saw the world in such simple terms as I'm going to do what I can to solve the problem that's right in front of me. And if that causes problems for me tomorrow, I'll deal with that tomorrow. And I thought, first of all, how amazing is a film where I thought the action was great. I thought it was fun all the way through. But the meatiest, possibly the best scene in the entire film
is like a 7-minute
is the
conversation.
conversation with Lois.
Yep.
Superman.
Miss Lane.
About the right or wrong of what he does. And what's great is that conversation is not presented like either of them are wrong.
That's the key, is that when you said conversation, even though we are talking about literal conversation, it creates a conversation because it's not black or white, and both people are presenting valid points, and they are two people who love each other too, but they don't agree, and they're having this chat, and it you do come away with it going, I respect the hell out of Superman, but she's got a point. You're sitting there going, oh, and I love Lois, but come on, he's totally in the right.
I think you can make the argument that he is a bit short-sighted and a bit naive and a bit simplistic in that he doesn't foresee the complications his actions are going to cause. But I think even if he thought all that through and thought all of it in advance, wouldn't change a damn thing about what he does.
No, he would just be more aware of what needs to happen next to fix. I mean, he's going to be, if he is a world shaper to some degree, just by existing, he's a world shaper. He will think about the consequences, but it is a thing of the immediate good to be done is the most important thing. And it's like, I love it. Dang it.
The other thing I know was a bit controversial with some people was
the trunks. Yeah, the trunks. Oh, sorry.
About the the reveal about the message from his Kryptonian parents.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't have a problem with it in that it was an interesting twist and surprise, and it created a really interesting narrative that allowed us to study that aspect of Superman's character. The biggest reason I can excuse any potential lingering problems I have with it, because I traditionally have thought of Jor-El and Lara as good people, and the Science Council on Krypton may have been morons for not listening to the evidence about what was happening to their planet, but obviously Jor-El and Lara, they were on top of things and were the good ones, and it's a tragedy that we lost them, and all that.
You rubbed me wrong, but I again, like, to your point, yes, as far as story fuel, it is interesting. It's a different take, but I do prefer.
But here's my favorite thing about what they did with that choice, though.
Yeah,
I have not ever been a fan of Superman as religious allegory.
Mm.
And the whole thing about Superman as Christ figure really goes back to the first Donner film.
Yeah.
I don't think you get a lot of it before Jor-El makes that big "I send them you, my son," and that whole speech he gives, which is...
Well, just not that overt.
Yeah, there's the Moses connections.
I was going to say, if there's any religious allegory before that, it's more to Moses as a fictional creation of these two Jewish kids from Cleveland.
Yeah.
More than it would be a Christ allegory.
Yeah.
But what the narrative in the James Gunn film does is it totally puts things off the footing of it being about Jor-El sending his only son to Earth and what his intentions behind that were, and about what I always have thought should be the foundation of Superman is he was lucky enough to have been found by and raised with the values of Ma and Pa Kent. And they are the ones that made Superman into the individual he grew up to be. The powers came from Krypton. The character came from Ma and Pa Kent.
That is a fine way of looking at it. And the fact that he was under some delusion as to that is also interesting. What I always kind of liked about it is just of course it is in the story, you're like, wow, the odds. What are the odds that this child of a scientifically advanced planet comes to our rural planet and finds the best hearted people to raise him is great. But I always liked the idea of it being a transfer from this idealized utopian, not god-like race, but the ones that are defeated by their own hubris. And then these simple folk just instill in him earth values and so forth. But I never thought it had to be one or the other. Like, well, the alien dicks send him here, and thank God the Kents got him. It's like, why can't they both be cool? I get what he went for. It did rub me a little wrong just because it felt a little unnecessarily. I gotta mess with it somehow. This is the way I'm gonna mess with it.
Well, I will be curious to see, and we'll find out if there's like even more to be learned about this as we get Supergirl, and then Man of Tomorrow, because as has been pointed out, if the people on Krypton were all that terrible, it kind of seems odd that Kara has never mentioned that at any point.
Chad wisely brings up a lot that, I mean, and it does make sense. It's like, we can't just assume, just like you can't assume all of Earth. Krypton probably has different cultures and sects and different viewpoints, political and so forth. Maybe Jor-El and his brother didn't get along on ideological points.
James Gunn himself hinted at that in an interview.
Did he?
A while ago.
And we also don't know how imperialistic a worldview that speech that you heard in the film is coming from. It could be from this very self-protective thing of like, look, you're going to be alone as the sole survivor of our race on this planet, and if that means that in order to protect yourself and perpetuate any remains of our world, you do what you have to do. If that means taking over, you take over, which I'm not saying is the best attitude to have, but saying there's a difference between that and saying, we are sending you there to conquer the place.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And it will be interesting to learn, like, is there more context to this? Are we going to get a more nuanced understanding of this? It will be interesting to see how it unfolds, because I'm sure James Gunn has some idea in his head of, at least, if not that there's more story to tell, at least how to rationalize if this had never been a conversation between Kal-El and Kara before now.
Yes, that's
presumably we'll get as we get more of their story.
Yeah, it wasn't character shattering because the Superman we are given is the guy that I recognize. He even says stuff like "gee whiz" and stuff. I love the hell out of the way he's personified.
What the hey, dude? Good gosh.
I can be such a jerk sometimes.
I can be such a jerk. Oh.
Darn it, I can be such a jerk sometimes.
So I look forward to, the elaboration, which we'll probably get, and we'll probably get in chunks.
How do you even know Superman anyway?
I just do.
So you know about the Hypno-glasses.
My personal headcanon is that the story that somebody told Guy Gardner about Superman having Hypno-glasses when he's Clark Kent is BS, and they all keep playing along to make a fool of him, because I've never thought that theory made any sense or was a good idea. And so I just prefer to have that be yeah, that's not real.
It may
that's
never be addressed again. It's like Gunn like dropping in going, if you want it to be Hypno-glasses, it's Hypno-glasses. If it's just everyone else fooled, then that's fine.
The reason I've never thought it made sense is what happens the first time somebody sees a photograph of Clark Kent.
The Hypno-glasses have worked on your brain, so even if you see an image that you don't see it.
What if you've never met Clark Kent?
You're hurting my head.
But you see a photo of him.
Please stop, Chris. You're hurting my head.
So anyway, but
I love the stuff where it was Byrne had the whole idea of whenever Superman shows up, he's constantly vibrating.
Vibrating his face. Yeah,
he ends up being a blur.
Like, it's a fun idea, and then you think, really, like every story, the people are just gonna be like, "Super, why are you vibrating your head?"
I mean, if you're going to be like the protector,
no reason.
Yeah, and you save a child, and you're trying to keep it calm, like it's okay, I've got you, and they're like, what's wrong with your face? What's wrong with your face? Nothing. I don't know what's wrong. What are you talking about?
It's Blurface Man. Dun, da, da, dun, da, da.
You're late again, Kent. Sorry, Perry.
You like David Corn Sweat?
Loved David Corn Sweat. I'm hoping that whenever we get back to telling a more Superman-centric story, presumably in Man of Tomorrow, I want to see more of Clark at the Daily Planet. Yeah, I thought we got a fair amount of Superman as Clark because of that wonderful lengthy scene with Lois where he's essentially out of costume. He's not acting the Superman persona. He's being himself, and he's in casual clothes.
But other than really one scene, we don't see him at the planet.
Yeah, I want to see him interacting with Jimmy and Perry and all those folks as Clark.
Yeah,
and we got enough of it for this, but
I want to see Steve Lombard try to prank him.
Hey, loser. Hey, Steve.
Come on.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Oh gosh. Yes.
It's Superman Spider-Man, which we're about to get the new Superman Spider-Man. Can't wait.
And it's killing me that I'm not drawing any of that stuff.
They should have gotten you for a variant cover because I think everyone's done a variant cover.
Everyone but me.
No, I know. Look, I'll send you a blank and you do your commission cover. So the whole thing is Superman walks in to the bullpen of the planet, or Clark Kent does, and he's already used his X-ray vision and he can see that Steve Lombard has done the old bucket of water sitting on top of the door thing. Mm-hmm. So when he opens the door, and so when he walks in, he does the super breath like this to keep it up while he walks through the door. And then Lombard's he's like, what? That's gonna work. And Lombard goes over, he goes, I set it up just fine, and then it falls on Lombard. Oh, come on!
Using classic Three Stooges logic of, I'll go stand under it to look at what went wrong.
I did it right.
It's a Yosemite Sam moment. Like, no, you stupid rabbit, like this. And
then he shoots himself in the face. Anyway.
Exactly.
All that classic stuff I don't put beyond Jim Gunn. Jim. I call him Jim because we're friends.
Yeah. Jimmy Gunn. Good old Jimmy Gunn. Those of us that have known him for a long time call him Jimmy Two Guns. Anyway.